No, where I was sitting, this man, the cameraman, was sitting in row 31 or 32 on the left side of the plane by the window, and Lori and I were in row 27 by the window on the right seat of the plane, and after row 28 there was the restroom. So our view of that seating area was blocked by the restroom. I did hear them say that in the media, and to me that just raises further questions because you haven't gotten into it yet, but statements from a couple government officials that basically say this is a normal thing we do, letting terrorists on planes so we can track them and catch their accomplices in the U.S. And then we have another, which was made by Mr. Michael Leiter, director of the National Counterterrorism Center. And then we have a statement by Patrick Kennedy of the State Department, who says the State Department intentionally did not revoke Mutallab's visa so they could track him and catch potential accomplices. Now, if you take these two statements, add in together what I saw, which was a man in a suit in a secure area escorting Mutallab on the plane without showing a passport, add up the three together, you have a story where the U.S. government let Mutallab on this plane to track him and catch potential accomplices.
Well,
I'm not saying he had a bomb, or they knew he had a bomb. But when you add those three together and then you add in the cameraman, well, the entire official story gets really sketchy.
Yeah, well, I certainly agree with that, and I'm certainly as suspicious as can be, but, you know, if I were you, I would stick to, you know, what you know rather than speculating and leave the speculating to others, because if you're the witness and you're the news story, then it kind of muddies the issue when you start doing the journalism yourself.
Well, and maybe you're right, but there comes a point to when there's so much evidence that there can be no other interpretation. And I'd like to hear someone else's interpretation of that, because I don't think there is a realistic second interpretation.
Well, my only interpretation is it sounds right to me, but then again, we just don't know who that guy was, right? I mean, if we knew who the guy was, we'd know who the guy was.
But let's look at what we do know. He's in a secure area. He's not on the plane. He's helping Mutallab on the plane. Mutallab doesn't speak, so he's some sort of escort for Mutallab. Mutallab gets on the plane. There's all this other evidence the government had of Mutallab being a potential terrorist, including his dad contacting the government. The man looks Indian-looking, but he has an American accent. And then you add in these comments from not one but two government officials made on the record in Congress. Put it all together. I don't think there's any other interpretation.
Well, you very well could be right, and I certainly want to cover in depth about these recent statements about letting the guy on the plane deliberately. It's amazing some of the things that people will admit to the media when I guess they don't know they ain't supposed to or something. But first, let me remind the audience, especially if you guys are just tuning in, so you know I'm talking with Kurt Haskell. He was eyewitness to the doings at the attempted bombing of Flight 253 on Christmas Day, and he's got a new article that's at LouRockwell.com right now on the front page, and also can be found at haskellfamily.blogspot.com. I guess this is the second to most recent, but the most compelling one here is called "The Truth About Flight 253 Has Been Revealed." And now, so let's go through this. We still have about 10 minutes here. Let's be specific about who said what to the press, and I guess start here with Patrick Kennedy, the Undersecretary for Management at the State Department. He didn't just talk to Detroit News. Detroit News was reporting what he told a congressional committee in sworn testimony.
Right. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I can paraphrase. The State Department begged off revocation of Mutallab's passport to catch potential accomplices. They didn't want to catch one lone soldier. They wanted to catch a whole network of people that were with Mutallab. That was the gist of his statement. The exact quote is in my blog and also in the Detroit News article.
Yeah, I have it here. It's revocation action would have disclosed what they were doing. Rather than simply knocking out one soldier. It goes on, they wanted to apprehend the whole network rather than simply knocking out one soldier in that effort. And then there was also Michael Leitner, who is the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, who said that the kid was on the watch list, but that I believe he said the kid was on the watch list, but he says that if someone is on the watch list is because we have generally made the choice that we want them here in the country for some reason or another. So this was not the do not let this person on the plane list like your 5-year-old might be on. This is the yes, let's let him into the country and keep close tabs on him list.
Right, and I think he made a second statement too, although I don't have it in front of me, that the U.S. government often lets terrorists into the United States to track their movements. Some statement along those lines. But again, I don't have the exact quote in front of me right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, I mean, it looks like, I wish, I guess I need to get some explosives experts on to talk about this bomb, and get some good speculation about what went wrong with it or whether it ever even could have worked. The way it was, put together and that kind of thing. I guess there's speculation about, whether when he went to the bathroom somebody else had left pieces, of whatever mechanism for him or something, or who knows what exactly. And I guess we could go here into asking about the man in orange, but then I sort of think that maybe that's a red herring, and that the man in orange could actually be a distraction from what's really going on here. It may not have actually had anything to do with this, but what do you think about that?
I think the important part of the story is the sharp-dressed man, and I don't think there's any other logical explanation except that this is a U.S. government agent, even though you disagree with me.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, Kurt, I can't imagine why they wouldn't just say, oh, yeah, he was a Pakistani. That's why we got to bomb Pakistan. If they wanted for this to be part of the narrative, it's clear that they would all prefer that you didn't notice anything and never said anything. The obvious answer is that, well, yeah, the guy was CIA or something. But I'm just saying the obvious answer is still just a lead to conclusion rather than, really knowing. I mean, hell, maybe he was Mossad. Maybe he was Dutch intelligence or national police or who knows what. We don't know who the guy was. We'd like to know very much, and we're suspicious, right? That's what I'm willing to say for sure.
Okay.
And in fact, I share your frustration with, the media basically going along with, and this is, symptomatic of the entire press corps in virtually every case, they just go along with whatever the FBI spokesman said last. None of them seem to have their own interest in trying to get to the bottom of what are pretty darn good questions, it sounds like to me, Yeah,
especially with the government story on the man in orange changing 5 times, and now we're just expected to believe any story that comes out of the FBI or the U.S. government. It's ridiculous.
Well, can you take us through those 5 times?
Sure. I'll try and remember them all. There's so many. I started talking about the man in orange right after we landed to the press. And the official government story for 4 days was there was no such man. And then it changed, after media pressure about me and several other passengers talking out about him in the press. U.S. Customs changed their story to, yes, there was another man being held indefinitely on immigration charges from our flight. And then I went out to the media and I pointed out that he was being held after a dog found something in his carry-on bag. And then the story changed again to, yes, there was a man being held, but he was from a different flight. And that was impossible because our entire flight was quarantined from anyone else. And I pointed that out in the media, and then the story changed again to someone's being held on immigration or agricultural violations. And then this story changed again to, I believe it was 2 men were detained, both from different flights, and both were let go. So 5 different versions, each corresponding with myself coming out into the media, speaking out and discrediting their most recent story.
Yeah, it's also worthy of note here that I think just a couple of days after the attempted attack, Richard Wolff, who, if I have my press corps type people straight, I think he's written a book or is writing a book about Obama and is pretty close in there with the White House. And he said on Keith Olbermann's show that perhaps Obama himself, or at least the Obama administration, is concerned that this may have been an intentional act within the government.